Okay. There you go, buddy. Just sit down here. You look kind of thirsty. You want some water? Here. There you go. Happy Halloween.
Hey everybody, it's that time of the year again, where it's completely acceptable to eat unhealthy food and frighten people. But you may be wondering, where did this all start? Well, today I'm here to tell you a story about the history of Halloween. Halloween started several thousand years ago with an ancient Celtic festival that spelled like Samhain, but pronounced like Samhain. The Celts celebrated the festival on November 1st to signify the coming of the new year. Samhain was the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter, and the Celts believed that on the night before the festival, the worlds of life and death were more interconnected than any other time during the year. It was believed that every year, on the last day of October, the spirits of the dead would return to the world of the living. Although the spirits were known to cause trouble, they also allowed the Celtic priests, called Druids, to predict the future and create prophecies. On the night before Samhain, the Druids would throw a wicked party, lighting large bonfires and burning sacrificial crops and animals. The Celts would also wear animal costumes during the festival, which is believed to be the origin of Halloween costumes. However, by the time the year 43 rolled around, the Romans had successfully taken over most of the Celtic lands. They ruled for several hundred years, and during this time, they managed to integrate a few of their festivals with Samhain. Feralia, a festival which honored the dead, along with a festival dedicated to Pomona, were both merged with Samhain at some point during the Roman rule. However, this was not the end of Samhain's amalgamation. In the year 609, as was common with just about everything else during this time period, the Catholic Church decided to step in. The Pope at the time established All Martyrs' Day, which was later expanded to include All Saints, and was also moved to November 1st, the day of Samhain. Christianity was extremely widespread in those days, and it soon spread into the Celtic lands just as the Romans had done centuries before. November 1st and 2nd were declared All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, respectively, in an attempt to replace the festival with something church-related. All Saints' Day was also called All Hallows' Day, and, incidentally, the night before was called All Hallows' Eve. This day, October 31st, later became known as Halloween. Several centuries later, Halloween spread to North America with the settlers, where it merged with some Native American traditions to become closer to what it is today. It was here in America where the tradition of trick-or-treating would come into existence. Similarly to the Celts, people would dress up in costumes and disguises and travel door to door to acquire food. This tradition was likely derived from medieval All Souls' Day celebrations, where people were encouraged to give pastries called soul cakes to beggars. The idea of wearing costumes is believed to have originated from a Celtic belief that wearing masks would disguise you from spirits. An interesting note is how the concept of spirits has evolved since Halloween's conception. Originally, ghosts were seen as the spirits of loved ones who returned to be close to their still living relatives. People left out food and candles to sustain the ghosts and guide them back to their own world. As Halloween changed, ghosts began to be depicted as malevolent. Over the next few hundred years, Halloween was slowly altered, losing most of its religious and occult themes. In the early 20th century, children were known to engage in vandalism around the time of Halloween, and so the practice of trick-or-treating was repopularized so children could be given candy in exchange for not screwing things up. And thus, Halloween, as we know it, was officially born, and it continues to be celebrated to this day. Good night, everybody, and happy Halloween.